Welcome to another episode of 3rd and 3 with Coach Roger Holmes. I'm Jason Holcomb, joined as always with the coach. Coach, we knew that Wilcox was going to bring their A game, and they did. It was a battle through and through, fought until the very last end, took an interception on our side to close out the game. I know you had to feel good about seeing all three phases playing well last week.
Well, we did, Jason, and to be quite frank with you, we knew. Sometimes people think you're blowing smoke, especially when you're having a good season, that we were going to get tested to no end when we went to Wilcox. They have a tremendous defensive football team. Offensively, they played a little better. Their quarterback ran the football better than we anticipated him running. Didn't surprise me because we knew that he's a good player, only a sophomore. His dad's the head coach, and I was telling his dad the other day, he's fun to watch on film because you can tell that he's a coach's son. He's smart, does a lot of good things. But kicking game probably was the difference. I thought Barry, I'd say it all the time. John Potter had a great night. His kickoffs were exactly where we wanted. We gave up a big kickoff return to start the game. We had a young man that was injured, didn't play, and they actually happened to run the ball right in the lane that our guy got out of a little bit, who was a backup. So, but at the end of the day, we thought we could block the punt. We blocked the punt. The timing on it was tough because it was right at the end of the half.
Yep.
And we had to attempt a 46-yard field goal off of it.
Almost.
And just a little bit short. They mishandled a punt. But they had done that in other games. It wasn't something that really got us by surprise, but they stopped us 3 and out, mishandled a punt. We recovered it inside the 10. And Gabe Guyton had a phenomenal night punting. And then we blocked not only a punt, but we blocked 2 PATs. So we did a lot of really, really good things in the special teams. We were a little concerned about their kickoff return. So after we got up, we asked John Potter a couple of times to use a squib kick, and he executed it perfectly, and their guy just fell on it on the 25-yard line, so we eliminated returns there. So all in all, great night there. Offensively, I was disappointed when we watched our film, and it's something we're going to work on very, very hard today. The wing T offense is built on execution and deception. And part of that deception is your guys doing a great job of timing and carrying out their fakes and doing this and doing that. When we graded the film and looked at the film, to be quite honest with you, I would be ashamed to send that film out to somebody and say that Dublin High School is a football team and runs the wing team well, because we didn't do a good job. And we're going to work very hard on it. And guys that don't want to be a complete player, not only run the football, but you have to block and you have to carry out fakes and execute. If they're not going to do that, they're going to have to watch it from the sideline, because it's a matter of, we're trying to prepare this football team for a deep run.
Right.
And if you start getting into bad habits, then eventually it's going to bite you. Defensively, we did not play as crisp and sharp. We thought our linebacker play was below par. We did not fit our gaps the way we needed to, and so on and so forth. But hey, anytime we didn't think we played that well when we watched the film. As a matter of fact, we didn't. We were able to go on the road and get the win, and to me, that's a positive, and that's the way we want our players to understand it. We didn't play to a great level. Wilcox is a darn good football team.
Yes.
We knew that going in, and they proved to be a solid, sound football team. But now we've got to turn our focuses on getting better and what's in front of us.
Obviously, we're going to be talking about that in a second too, but before we break from that game, we want to highlight our Optim Player of the Week. Coach, you made it clear early in the review of the game, Gabe played a fantastic game for us in every phase.
All 3 phases. He had 2 touchdown catches. He had a blocked PAT. He had over 40-something yards average per punt, which was huge. And defensively, he's running around making plays everywhere back on the back end. So couldn't ask for a more complete game. There were other guys who had good games, but his was probably at just a tad high level.
Well, we're always thankful to Optim for all that they do for our players,
question.
and we're grateful that we're able to celebrate a player each week thanks to them and their support. Coach, speaking of A game, I hope Lucky brought his A game this week because it's Halloween, and you know people like to prank folks on Halloween. So without further ado, here's Ask Lucky.
Well, Lucky, last week was an amazing win.
Yes, watching the Vols get knocked down by Najee Harris was special.
No, I'm talking about Wilcox. We got to be on our P's and Q's this week, though, because Treutlen and Coach B know exactly what's coming. What was that? I better go check it out.
I'll just stay in one place, sort of like the UT line on goal line plays.
Great. Hope we don't have rats.
Coach Brown, did you find out what was making the noise? Coach Brown, this isn't funny. Ag.
Why you keep picking on me?
I'm sorry, Coach White. I watched last season and figured your severed head enjoyed a good joke. I will try to pick on other coaches like Coach Collins. Did you know Coach Collins once auditioned for the role of Zacchaeus in the church play?
Well, that's what you better do. Focus on Coach Collins. You better leave me alone.
He was a perfect fit, but sadly, when Jesus told him to climb down, he got scared and the pastor had to call for help. Sort of like the Vol secondary when John Mechie caught a 50-yard bomb in double coverage.
You know what? You're not half bad.
Well, guys, I'm glad we figured this out, but we got to get back to work. Happy Halloween, guys.
Well, Coach, it looks like Coach White finally got his payback, and I know for you that had to be a little bit funny because I'm sure all these volunteer jokes, you'd like to see some repayment on those as well.
Lucky better be careful because we're going to hide his battery. Okay, we're going to take his battery away from him, except during times when he's supposed to be working. But no, I've really enjoyed watching Lucky on, on all his clips and so on and so forth. And I knew it was a matter of time before Coach White had had enough.
Yeah, you just got to, and you got to know Coach T. White too. He, it's not that he necessarily holds a grudge, but he can only take so much, and I guess it all came to a head there. So thankful to Coach White for being I guess you'd say a good sport, and want to continue to thank Lucky for all that he does for our football team. Well, Coach, we're going to need Lucky this week. We're going to need all hands on deck because we're bringing folks back into the Shamrock Bowl this Friday for a big region contest with the Treutlen Vikings and a familiar face in the head coaching spot. What are some things that you are doing to prepare for Coach Versprilli and the Vikings?
Well, I think the number one thing, Jason, is working on the things that we didn't do well. And trying, like we talked about earlier, developing more continuity in our execution, developing more continuity on receiving snaps between quarterback and center. Those are areas that are problems that will eventually magnify. Now, as far as when Treutlen County comes to town, Coach Versprilli is going to bring in a team that's running out of the pistol for the most part. The gun, pistol offense, and they add a little something each week, tweak it, whether it be by formation or play design. Their football team has definitely continued to improve all year. I was a little surprised when I looked at it. They only dress about 30, 35 kids, but it looks like that they're almost totally two-platooning.
Wow.
And so that's a little bit surprising that you are totally two-platooning. Conditioning was a little bit of a factor last week. We had several guys throughout the course of the game go down with cramp-related issues and so on and so forth. But the reality of it is 4 games in 2 weeks, but it's the first time that our young men, quite honestly, had to play for 4 quarters since we played Dodge County. And, so we're hoping that because they're using guys going both ways, only one way, that our guys physically can stand up to it. It looks like they may be using a little tempo, very similar to what Wilcox did. But at the end of the day, Jason, to me, it is about us continue to improve and fix the things that we did poorly last week.
Yes, and we want to make sure that you guys come out and see all of those improvements in person. Kickoff is 7:30 here at the Shamrock Bowl. Remember, we have limited seating, so we want to make sure if you get the chance to go ahead and buy those tickets online ahead of time to guarantee you a spot. Once we reach capacity, they close the doors off. If you're unable to come to the game, we actually have it online. It's going to be available on NFHS. Just look for Dublin High School under Dublin, Georgia, and you'll see it. Real easy. Click subscribe. And the cool thing about the NFHS coaches we've talked, you want to watch the game again, log in and go right at it.
And what a great thing for parents, for the players themselves to have the opportunity to go back and watch it over and over and over. And, you know, our players have access to huddle, but it's a whole different deal.
Right.
Than hearing the announcers calling the game while it's going on and this and that. So we're glad to have that capability, and we appreciate that our department there at the school was willing to make that happen.
Mr. Ellenberg, Mr. Crabb are our videography team, and they do a fantastic job. We want to also mention that if you're not able to get onto NFHS, Q1013 is our official radio sponsor. Coach Strick and Todd Gay, they do a fantastic job calling the game. It's high energy, so be ready for that. This isn't some of that old school baseball calling. This is sure enough intense. Football coaches calling football. You'll have a great time listening to Coach Strick and Todd Gay. Make sure to tune in on them, Q1013. That's also available online as well. You can look online for the links. Well, Coach, before we call it a night, we got to talk about mustaches. And with Halloween, we got to mustache you a Halloween question. All right, Coach. Well, this week we got to focus on Halloween, even though Halloween comes after the ball game. But this is Halloween week, I guess you could say. And in honor of that, we're going to go straight to the tape. And this week's mustache matchup is Vlad the Impaler, also known as the original Count Dracula. And he's going to be taking on Vincent Price, playing a vampire. So who you got this week, Coach?
I kind of think I like Vincent Price. His looks a little more real, a little more legit. So I'm going with Vincent.
I think that's a fine, solid choice. Also remember he was the voice in the Thriller video back in the day, back when music videos mattered. Want to make sure that you guys tune in all the time here on our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Follow these boys, support this team. Let's see if we can keep this thing rolling, but get another big win. Support the Irish this week when we take on Treutlen at 7:30 here at Shamrock Bowl. 101.3 is where you find them on the radio. NFHS is where you find them online. And keep in tune because we're hoping to keep this thing rolling with 3rd and 3 with Coach Roger Holmes.